your optimism guru, ready to spread a little daily cheer in your world. So today, other than my irritation that my very expensive Ninja blender died after 2 short years, and my parents have a blender that they still use regularly that they got for their wedding 43 plus years ago, my day is pretty sweet. Other than the fact that because of my blender, I started the day with a deconstructed smoothie, just the parts all scooped out from the blender into a bowl and sad looking, and it wasn't the same. It's very interesting how the same parts and pieces can go together in different ways whenever they're presented in different ways and in different situations. So that was interesting. So today we have a little bit of a girl power vibe happening here today, and between the books that I have chosen to discuss today and a really cool article that I found and a quote by Oprah. So just know that the man card is not going to be played here a lot today. But I do have some great stuff to share, and I'm going to start with this article on Betty Ford that was published in 2011 in The Nation, and the author's name is John Nichols, and saying nothing of Betty or Gerald Ford's politics or, presidency or even activism for that matter, as far as specifically what they were passionate about. There was a line in this article that really spoke to me, and then I wanted to share it because I think it is so applicable to the message that I like to share here on my channel. So, Nichols writes, Betty Ford's poll numbers were better than those of Gerald Ford or the GOP, a reflection of the appeal of her frankness, not just on political issues, but about her own struggles with breast cancer and substance abuse. I thought that this was worth lifting up and worth sharing, and I will link the article in the description box below. I thought this was so worth sharing because in our attempts and in our designs of creating our personal image and our personal style that we present to the world, there always needs to be an authenticity. There needs to be, even with our strongest facade, it still needs to be a reflection of the person who is behind that facade. I have to tell a quick story of when facades go completely wrong. My second husband, I swear to you that I married his facade and I never knew the real him until it was after the fact. And I still stuck it out for many, many years, over a decade, and it was beautiful and miserable and all of those things all at once. But there is something that even that experience speaks to me about how careful we have to be with the images that we present to the world, and how there still needs to be a real authenticity built into each of those bricks of the wall that build up this facade, this frontward reaching image that we put forth. Be authentic, be yourself, be the best version of yourself that you can be at all times, and know that other people appreciate you being genuine with them, even if it is at a surface level and it's out here. So be genuine, be authentic, be yourself, and know, just as Betty Ford experienced and Nichols was writing about, that kind of thing is appreciated. It's appreciated as much today as it was in the mid-70s. So get out there and just put your best foot forward. Now, a quick quote from Oprah, from one presidency to the next presidential candidate. You must feed your mind with reading material, thoughts, and ideas that open you to new possibilities. I love that quote in particular because what I really wanted to talk about today was the short stack of books that I am currently reading and the quick list of books that are next on my reading list. I have not picked those books up yet, but I want to. So, of course, I am reading this beautiful copy of Walden because it is such a beautiful book to begin with. It was a lovely gift from my kiddo, and I love that reset that Walden gives me each time I read it. Next, and admittedly, this is not one that I'm reading yet, but I really need to start on it. This is Yellow Crocus, and it is, I'm reading it because we are reading it in a book club that I'm involved in, and we meet in 9 days. So I really need to begin on this. So it looks like a fast read. I will let you know if I love it, and it looks really good. So I'm excited about that. I love, even when I hate books that are chosen for a book club or a reading group, I always enjoy the conversation. And sometimes I go into a meeting or a discussion thinking that I hated the book and coming out having a whole new perspective on it. And so I enjoy the camaraderie and the discussion behind book clubs and reading groups. Last but not least, what I am currently reading is Spinster by Kate Bollock. And this is a wonderful book so far, and it's a story of Kate and other members of her family female members of her family, who purposefully have chosen to live a deliberately single life. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. I think that there's a beautiful thing in the ownership of knowing what speaks to you and what will feed your best life best. And traditional marriage, traditional family, the traditional timeline of life and death and everything in between it's just not the same for everyone. And that's becoming more and more true as the generations move on. And so I'm enjoying Spinster very much, and just as a divorcee 2 times over, as a single mother, as an almost empty nester. In theory, I'm about to only have 1 kiddo at home, which is going to feel very empty nesty. I can relate to the stories that she recounts and the lessons that she has learned on her journey and the journey of the women who have gone before her. So this is a really good book so far. I've not finished it, but it is really good. Now, as far as my list for upcoming reads that I really, really, really want to get to, number 1, this is not a new one at all, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. I don't know how I have never read this book, but I keep just having it on a perpetual list of books that I want to read. And so, by golly, I'm gonna read it. So, if you have read that book and you love it, I would love to hear about it in the comment section down below. Next, Mark Williams wrote Mindfulness, and this just speaks to me. I don't know. You know how it is when some books, you could have 20 books from the self-help section or, psychology section or whatever that could possibly all be about the exact same thing, and some just speak to you and some don't, and this one just did, and so I'm going to pick that up. And then The War of Art, not The Art of War, The War of Art, and I did not write down the author's name because this book is another one like the Oliver Sacks book that just kind of keeps coming up in podcasts, it keeps coming up in interviews, it keeps coming up in articles, and yet I still have yet to read it. And so it is on the list still, but it's high on the list. It's at number 3 spot. So certainly I will get to it sooner rather than later. Now, as you see, I have still yet to hang artwork. I'm really kind of enjoying the blank slate effect that I have going in my place right now. I'm kind of loving it. I am heading to DC in a few weeks, and I am super pumped about that, with all of the culture and all of the art that I get to see, and all of the fresh life that I get to experience when I'm there. I am super pumped. I'm going to do some traditional touristy things. I've been there before. I've done the touristy thing, but it's been, good grief, like over 15 years since I've been there. So I'm really excited about that. And then about that same time, a few weeks after that, I'm picking up a new piece of artwork that I've purchased, and I kind of want to fit everything back on the walls, all centered around this new piece. And so I kind of don't want to put anything on the wall. So I'm just going to keep having artwork leaning against walls for probably about another month. But you know, it's beautiful whether it's on the walls or not. It's just beautiful. So I like it. Okay, I'd like to leave you with one thought. When you can't control what's happening in your life, remember always that you can still have full control over the way you respond. So just like my broken blender and me whining about it to you, and everything, whether it's, you know, a tiny thing like that, just an irritation, or something truly catastrophic, and everything in between, you have control over how you respond to things that happen in your world. And I would like to encourage you to respond genuinely, to respond with authenticity, to respond the way you feel like you need to, but gauge carefully before fully responding whether it is really something worth wrecking life over. Just respond with care. So, I hope that you have enjoyed this today. Until I see you again, I hope that you are making it a great day.